Hi, my name is Simone Mink and I'm a digital execution practice lead here at Mendix. And with me today I have Lina Dominguez, who works in our IT department as a change manager. She's been with Mendix for almost 2 years, and Lina actually specializes in people and change. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So, Lina, change. It's uncomfortable for people, right? What tips can you give companies that want to get their people comfortable with the change that is going to happen?
Absolutely. I would say first step, professionalize it. Have a dedicated people resource, a change manager, a change practitioner that is able to focus on this area. And the second tip would be use a specific methodology, whatever works for your company, for your context, but definitely have a framework that gives common language, that gives context to people, and that anchors your change practitioner throughout your initiatives.
All right, thank you. And you mentioned methodology. Now, can you share information about what methodology you use as a change manager?
So I am a Prosci certified change practitioner. That's the methodology I use here at Mendix. And Prosci has 4 main phases. The first one is diagnose. The second one can be prepare for change. The third one is managing change. And the fourth one is reinforce change.
All right. Can you give a little bit of context or details around each of those phases?
So diagnosing is about if you haven't done any change management activity, this assessment can easily help you understand, is it leadership, project, or change management you need to focus on. Preparing for change. This is about understanding what the change is about, who is impacted, and how is leadership following along with this change. Second phase, manage the change. Here we have 5 change management plans: communication plan, leadership engagement, people manager engagement, training plan, and resistance management plan. And the third phase is about reinforcing change, making sure we celebrate early successes, making sure we have a transition towards business as usual, and people is expected what happens after certain days. And the fourth aspect in this phase is to diagnose. How are people going in this transition?
I love that you mentioned celebrate success. Like in digital execution, we have our 5 Ps. One of them is promotion. It's actually our new P that we are launching. And a key component there is celebrating success. And it's indeed so important to do that, to get people to adopt whatever you are introducing into the company. So I love that you mentioned that. Out of these phases, I'm sure they exist out of like all kinds of activities that a company should do. Can you give a top 3 of things, like the ones you cannot skip? These are the things you really need to do as a company when you're going to change.
In preparing for change, do the stakeholder identification. So which groups are impacted? How are they impacted? Is this just a tool change, process change, job description, compensation change? That's the first thing I would do. Definitely know who is impacted and how. The second thing is have a communication plan. So making sure we have awareness. Why are we doing this? Why now? What if we don't embrace the change? What happens then? This communication plan is also executed with the leadership support, because they are the preferred senders of these organizational messages. People will respond better to these messages coming from them. And the third plan that I think it's an absolute must, engage your people managers. This is the layer of the organization that can face most resistance, because you may have conflicting priorities versus the time available you have. You need to manage team, and you need to cascade the change that is going from leadership into specific teams down to individual contributors, because change happens one individual at a time.
Thank you so much for joining me here today, and I look forward to our next chat. And thank you for tuning in. See you next time.